You're watching Guude. You're watching Guude. Fighting just to save our lives. Got you laughing every night.
Back, everyone.
Welcome back.
I guess we could have talked. We could have had that whole conversation in a video.
Yeah, we could have, but then they'd be like listening to that conversation until 2020, and
I wish all my series were scheduled that far out. Like, I wish we could do more Mario Kart and we get that like scheduled out. I've thought about trying to do that with like some solo series. Just start recording shit and just have like multiple series that go for a long ass time.
So I guess I'll just do it while we're. I might have to drop one of the days of our recordings.
You might what?
I might have to drop one of the days of our recordings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's so it's ironic that you're speaking of. And it's actually because of what you said last episode. Like, and the guys from the podcast, they really want to get back and start recording podcasts again. And
well, shit, we won't have enough to get through a week if we only record one day.
Well, we'd have to record more. We'd have to make sure we got like an extra episode in there, which kind of sucks because I don't like to rush these things, but it also might just be I might be able to do something with them like every other week or something like that.
Okay.
But like Tuesday and Thursday were like more of the days that we were actually all available together. So I said, like, let me talk to you about it, and we'll I'll figure out which day we could do.
We can figure something out.
So hopefully from the viewer's perspective, this doesn't change anything because we'll keep up with our series without a problem.
Did you see Farming Simulator 2019 released?
No, is it like the exact same?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure, because I've gone back and looked at the previous seasons of that game after we played it, and that nothing's changed.
The only thing I wish they would change is make the multiplayer not require you to each have copies of it. Well, not necessarily the players to have copies of it, but it was like if we wanted to set up a server on our own, we needed a third copy of the game.
Yeah.
To work as the server. Like, the multiplayer functionality just seems to be like, bro, why do you make it so it pauses for 30 seconds when, one of us joined?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a great multiplayer game. Honestly, I don't think it's a great game, period.
Oh, no, it's not at all.
But see, the thing is, I always thought it was before I played it. Before I actually played the game, I thought it was this fantastic simulator. Because the way Seven has talked about it, it's like, this is farming. And it's not. It's awful. It's not. It's nothing like farming.
This is farming. Oh, you're a worker.
Oh, yeah.
Go have a beer.
Yeah. I can see why he likes it, because I can see how it could be a good stream game. Where you can just kind of chill and, like, take your time and whatever, but it's not a good simulator.
It's very. Sorry, I just kind of like stopped talking.
You sure did. I was like, it's very what, Jeff? Tell me more.
It sounds like there's a rally happening in my alley. You're like,
the alley rally
going on back there. It's kind of insane.
They're having a party to celebrate all the things they've stolen to stay up. They
have a Christmas tree back there.
A Christmas tree they stole off of someone's Amazon delivery.
All they do is randomly label one of the stolen packages to themselves from Santa, and it's like they're like, "What did Santa get me?" Like, because nobody really knows. But I was gonna say, I still watch some videos of people playing Farming Simulator. Some of the big people who play it, because it can be entertaining to watch, but it's way less entertaining now that I've played it and know how it's played. It's more about the personality of the person recording and what they're doing with it. That is way more entertaining than it used to be. I used to actually, before we played it, and one of the things I was getting into it for was because I was watching people and I was like, this game looks amazing. And it is definitely not amazing, but it's fun. But
I don't think I would enjoy it ever again, basically.
Alone?
And especially alone.
Yeah, like I would not enjoy it alone by any means.
But yeah, I don't think you could ever convince me to even play it a second time at this point.
That being said, Guude and I's next series, Farming Simulator 2019. Can you imagine if we had a game like Farming Simulator 20? What did we play, 17 or 16? I don't even remember.
I think we played 18, actually.
Was it 18?
I think.
If we had that scheduled out till 2020,
yeah, that'd be special.
that would be entertaining. I'm trying to figure out what my next big series is ever going to be. That's like not Minecraft. It's really interesting to like look at my channel back through like time, and Minecraft obviously huge, and then Spelunky got really big.
Oh, did it?
And then it was Mario Maker that got really big. But now even going back to those things, you can't get the same view count. But for a while, like those were the games that really like had brought in an influx of people for a while. And there's going to be games that come out that are going to be those ones that people just want to watch people playing. And I'm just always curious what the next one-hit wonders are going to be.
Right.
FTL was really big for a long time.
Was it?
Yeah, for a while, FTL got a lot of views on my channel. People loved watching my FTL series, and now also it gets like less than 100 views of a video if you make one.
That sucks.
Like, but it's fun to play. Like, I don't always put things up there just because I want views out of them. Like, I've given up on the YouTube as a career thing, so. Like I just put up a Spelunky video this afternoon, actually, because it was the first time I actually had a chance to load up a Spelunky Daily Challenge. I guarantee it's going to get like 120 views or something like that. But I don't care. I have fun playing it.
Yeah, that's really all that matters.
I did get a really promising. I will tell you, it's weird in the position that I'm in because for my doctorate degree, I am done with everything that I need to do to graduate, but now I'm waiting for like approval that everything I've submitted is good enough for graduation. So I'm just stuck in this like waiting game of, am I a doctor or am I not a doctor?
Am I a doctor? Am I not a doctor?
Am I a doctor? Am I not a doctor?
I feel like a doctor, but I don't know. How long will it take till you know?
Oh, I mean, in theory, the grades and stuff are due to be submitted by December 6th, I think it is, because that's graduation. So 2.5 weeks, like at the max. But my stuff has been submitted since the first week of November. But it's just one of those things that, I hate not being in control of something. Like usually you'll know if you're in a college or whatever, what your grade point is, what you stand at, and you're just waiting for like an assignment to be graded or something like that. Yeah. Usually that can take,
is this,
up to a week.
These assignments like more like opinion based or something? Like,
this was my full-fledged DNP scholarly, or my DNP project that I've been working on since January.
Okay. Right.
So it is done. I've done the presentation on it. I've submitted it. I'm getting it prepared for publication, and hopefully it'll get picked up by an article, and I'll be a published, research author as well. But it's got to still get the final approval from the university, and I've just been literally sitting here just waiting to find out. But I got an email today that was confirming my address for my diploma to be mailed to. So I'm assuming that's a good sign, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
Because I am so ready to be
Do you get a pay increase or anything?
No.
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 What does this do for you? Anything other than just a title?
Makes me a doctor. I mean, honestly, it future-proofs me.
So,
it makes me eligible for other jobs that I currently wasn't eligible for, per se. Or makes me a better candidate for jobs that I would be applying into in the future. Basically, I figured at the time, like when I first applied to start this program, I didn't even know I had a child on the way. So I was trying to get things done while I had a chance in life to be able to get these things done.
Right. You can now make doctor on doctor porn too.
I could make doctor on doctor porn. The problem is people are going to respect me as the higher doctor authority because I'm a man, and really she's the real doctor, and I will be just like the when people have a heart attack or whatever on a plane, nobody's like, "Is there somebody with a PhD in fine arts on the plane?" When they ask for doctor, they're looking for a specific kind of doctor, which I am not.
You could probably help more than the fine arts guy, at least.
I could probably help more than the actual medical doctor, because as a nurse, you You really do a lot more of the work than the doctors do anyway. But
No.
my
Don't let your
my
wife
doctor
hear that.
oh, I tell her that all the time, and sometimes she gets mad, and then sometimes she's like, "No, that's actually pretty accurate in a lot of situations." That's the most fun thing. Like whenever I have to correct her on something medical, I'm always like, "Well, doctor, the way it works is."
Uh,
I mean, it is really strange. Like nurses are way more hands-on than most doctors. I'm not saying than all doctors, because there's definitely certain situations of like surgeons, emergency department docs, like those people are really hands-on. But standard hospitalists and internal medicine people,
hospitalists?
hospitalists, yeah.
I've never
They're
heard
the people who
term.
like cover all the patients, like especially at nights and weekends. It's not saying that only nights and weekends. They're your more general. Like everybody has an attending physician, but the attending physicians aren't there at all times. So when you don't have like during the standard business hours of like Monday through Friday, the teams are much smaller. And a lot of times on nights and weekends, hospitalists are what cover the entire house. And they're basically the liaison doctor to all the teams that can basically keep all the patients in the hospital alive until, the person who knows way more specially about that particular patient's case is available. Julia picks up as a hospitalist at one of the facilities in town every couple weeks, and she basically is a single doctor that is caring for every single patient in the facility if something goes wrong.
Wow. How many
At the
patients
time.
is there on average? One of these
I think the
places?
hospital's got like 200.
Jeez. So like, what if?
But
like,
I mean, she
multiple
doesn't know
emergencies-
in-depth knowledge of these patients per
Right.
se. She just is there to be like, I can, help look at their chart, you tell me a brief synopsis of these people, I will tell you what to do, and we will get their attending en route in here now. Like,
Right. What
You know,
happens if
type
there's
of
like
thing.
multiple emergencies? Is that one of those occasions where you have to like pick the greater emergency and someone may die?
I mean,
basically?
yeah, but there might be other people that are on, be just other like teams. A lot of those teams are run by nurses as well. Like at my particular hospital, we have like Code Blue and Rapid Response teams. And granted, there's doctors involved in them. They're a huge part nursing. There's multiple nurses on those teams. And there's like the Code Blue team, that's a Code Blue backup team. And I think if there's a third Code Blue at one time, the Rapid Response team has to go respond for Code Blues. Granted, I don't know what happens if there's more than, 3 responses at once, but that's the way it works. And it's very nurse heavy. And then there's physicians that are involved as well. But the nurses often run the codes and do a lot of the work until the physicians can get there, if they can get there, if they're not tied up with other emergencies. Like very nurse heavy. Nurses are the real heroes. I'm not I'm not lying when I say that. I'm not just saying that because I'm a nurse, but we really are the real heroes.
So my
We just don't get paid as much.
right? It's kind of weird. It's like teachers.
Yeah. Well, it's like a nurse practitioner, man. It's kind of annoying. People go to school to be a nurse practitioner, and they basically act as a physician. And in some states, they can work under their own license. They don't even need a physician's license. And you look at an average nurse practitioner salary like $120,000 a year compared to the doctor making $250,000 a year.
It's weird.
And they're doing literally the same job.
So my
Sure,
cousin,
med school is bigger and med school is more prestigious and all, but it shouldn't be that significant of a difference.
my cousin was in the hospital recently, and she has cancer of the esophagus, or had. And they put on this oxygen. They told her that she can only have at the hospital. What's that all about?
I mean, I guess it depends on. Oxygen itself is not something they can only have at a hospital. It might be just the way that the way that's administered.
It was the concentration,
Like a high flow
of-
nasal cannula or something, or what'd you say?
It was like the concentration of like the level of oxygen that was getting put
Well, in
into
theory,
her.
if you have an oxygen tank at home, you can get 100 oxygen into your body by putting on a non-rebreather mask. Like that's not difficult to get at home. Granted, you wouldn't be able to last on it because you're going to run your tanks dry, and I don't think any systems that are like they have plug-in oxygen systems that can like create oxygen. You don't need to have like oxygen tanks filled up, but I think they can only handle up to 2 or 3 like liters per minute, and for 100% non-breather, you need like 15 liters per minute running. So
something like that, then basically.
I would assume that it was just something that you would not be able to sustain on at home for logistic purposes, or there was some medication if it was like nebulizers stuff. I don't know for esophageal cancer why you need like a nebulizer though.
Basically, like the moment they discharged her, she died.
Ooh. I will also tell you that a lot of like patients and patients' families completely misconstrue what they're told by doctors and nurses and such, and they somehow heard out of this that this is some special hospital only oxygen, when really somebody might have said, "Oh, you know, you wouldn't be able to have this high of a flow at home because you'd run out too fast." You know?
Yeah, I wasn't there when the doctor talked to her. She just basically said, she just told me when I went and visited her last week that
yeah, there's no special oxygen in the hospital that I'm aware of, unless they're saying it was like mixed with something else. But I've never heard of that before either. So
okay, I was just wondering if you knew. I was wondering about that because she seemed like she seemed fine, like when I saw her. But then the moment,
did she have the hiccups?
No, she didn't. I would have thought of you. Would have called you and said, "What do I do, Jeff?"
But I've been like, "Oh no, I went home."
But the moment they moved her to like rehab from the hospital, she died because it is basically lack of oxygen.
I mean, I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm betting it was just because they had her on like 100% non-breather to keep her like O2 sads up, and they couldn't sustain that at a different facility. I don't know. You think a rehab place could do that though?
I don't know. I was just wondering if you, you kind of answered my question. I think makes sense.
So, yeah, I answered the question to the best of my knowledge based on the information given, but
I don't have
it really could be way off base on what was really happening.
Right.
I really don't know. No, I never want to be like having worked. Well, I don't want to ever have to be in a hospital long term. It just seems so terrible.
Does. When I was a kid, I always wanted to. I always thought it was so cool to get to spend the night in a hospital.
Oh, some people like still love it. I've had people in the emergency department who scream and yell and cause fights and all that stuff because they refuse to get discharged because they have to be admitted. They know that they need to be admitted, and like people who come in all the time like that when there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. And I think it's crazy because I don't know what they think that they're going to get from being admitted. Besides your typical, drug seekers and all that think they're getting like pain meds. But I'm not even talking about people who are like trying to get pain meds out of us. It's just people who are they like being in the hospital. I think they like just being taken care of.
I could see that. It's kind of like the whole prison thing.
Prison.
People want to go to prison just so they don't have to worry with like life.
Yeah, I guess that is one nice thing about prison is that you don't have to worry about like paying for rent or something.
Yeah, no, everything's covered.
But
you got food.
But good lord, the worry about getting shanked at every corner. And I guarantee like prison's probably very much a lot of the things that I'm thinking negative of prison are very
made up in
Hollywood-ified. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's as bad as Hollywood makes it out to be. I'm sure that there's terrible things that happen in prison, don't get me wrong. But
you don't think it's like every person who goes in, if they is in need, like worry about getting shanked.
Right. Yeah, I don't think someone's gonna rape you every night either and stuff like that. But who knows? Who the fuck knows? I mean, I guess I like to believe in my fantasy world that most prisons are just kind of calm and everyone's trying to get
everybody who's in prison is not an animal who wants to just like dominate everybody else in any way they possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to believe that.
Yeah, I would also like to believe that.
I mean, I don't ever want to go to prison, but I guess if I was homeless or something like that, that seems like a decent solution to being homeless.
Food.
Yeah. And
place to stay.
I can't imagine being homeless in the winter. Like, how do those people survive?
A lot of them go to the emergency department every night.
Every night?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. We had people in our regular showed up every single night in the emergency
Really?
department.
What do you do?
Yep. Well, it depends on what they're there for. If most of them are there because they're drunk. They fall asleep somewhere in like behind a dumpster or whatever. Somebody calls 911 on the person who can't move. EMS really, you can't not bring them in, and you'd have to keep them there until they're sober. And 6 o'clock every morning when the buses start running, you give them 2 bus tokens and you get them out the door.
Wait, you can't discharge a drunk person?
Nope.
Why?
It's not no, but these. So you can discharge a drunk person, but there's pieces in there about them having to be of their own decisions, alert and oriented, appropriately, and things like that. And most of these guys, when they came in, either pretended to not be alert and oriented, or were so drunk they were not alert and oriented. And a lot of them also, they just knew how to play the game. Some of them did. So a lot of people would come in at it was like midnight, or was it 10:30? I can't remember. They would come in because the shelter would close, and the shelters wouldn't let you in if you'd been drinking. So they'd show up right after the shelter closed and wouldn't let them in because they were drunk, and they'd be even more drunk because they'd find a way to make themselves more drunk so they could get into the emergency department for the night.
Wow.
So yeah, that was very, very, very commonplace. We had very, very sizable amount of regulars, and you get to know them too. And some of them were just complete and utter drunk assholes, and some of them were very pleasant. You got to know some of the guys. It's really, I'll just call a guy like Jim or something. I don't know. I don't want to give out any names. He'd be like, Jim, what you here for tonight? And he'll be like, man, I'm drinking again. Like, okay, Jim.
Oh, Jim.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, some of them were, and especially in the morning when they woke up, some of them were extremely pleasant. Some of the nicest people you dealt with. I'll be like, oh God, I'm sorry. I hope I wasn't a jerk to anybody last night. I was pretty drunk. No, you were good. Be like, okay, well, thanks. Can I have a sandwich for the road? And you'd be like, sure, here you go. See you later.
Wow. Yeah, I guess they'd get a meal too out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they demand the meals. That's the thing, is if they're the nice ones, you give them. The assholes, you're like, get the fuck out.
Damn. It's gonna take forever to plant the crops in this damn thing.
Yes, it is. I didn't realize you didn't know that drunk people use the emergency department.
I didn't. I mean, I guess I should have.
Our drunk homeless people.
But yeah. I never really, it never dawned on me that would be a place homeless people would go.
Well, and I'm sure I've talked to you about this before, but when I first said I was going to go into emergency department nursing, and my mom used to tell me this, my mom used to be a department nurse, but I always thought it was a big exaggeration that one of the biggest complaints that people had in there was about food, and how many people argued with you about food in the emergency department. I thought that was insane. I'm like, come on, you're in an emergency department. I worked in the fast food industry, and I worked in the healthcare industry. I worked in other industries as well. But in those two industries, I have had people get in fist fights with me about food, and it's worse in the emergency department.
Fist fights about food?
Yeah. I've had people throwing punches and spitting and this and that because
they didn't like the food, or what?
They didn't like their sandwich, or I wasn't fast enough, or they wanted another one, or they didn't have the juice that they wanted. I've had more demanding people and more angry people in the hospital related to food and food quality than in the food industry.
I mean, to be fair, hospital food is awful.
Sure, it is.
I mean, so wait, okay, so what happens if you have a patient and they eat their whole tray? Can they get more?
I mean, so you're talking the difference between we got trays at certain times if you just happen to be there, but we also had a bunch of boxed lunches and a bunch of pre-made sandwiches and stuff that were delivered on a tray, because you have people coming in and out at any time in the emergency department. And you had to have you couldn't have food for certain tests, and then people would want food, or you have to make sure that they can they're there for abdominal pain and stuff. You got to give them a PO challenge, they call it. So do we get the vomiting subsided? Can you actually take food in without immediately regurgitating again before we can discharge you? On the floor, you get trays at standard mealtime, and yes, you can get more food and you keep some things on the units, but it's still not, you don't have a huge variety.
Right. I just didn't know if you ate all your food, if you were even allowed to get more.
Well, and then sometimes it depends. If you have certain conditions and all, you're very strict diets on what you can and can't have. Like, I feel bad for anybody who comes from surgery because, for one, they make you archaically. This is like such old school shit that they should need to stop doing. Nobody wants you to eat after midnight the day before your surgery.
Oh yeah, we talked about this.
What time your surgery is? Your surgery could be 8 o'clock in the morning. Your surgery could be 8 o'clock at night. NPO after midnight. It's fucking stupid. But you go to the surgery and you come back after not eating for how long, and then they put you on a clear liquid diet to advance as tolerated. You know, so you give somebody a little cup of broth and they eat it and they're like, okay, I can hold it down. Can I have more? Because I'm super fucking hungry. Now you're dealing with the nutrition services trying to get a new tray during a meal time, which is damn near impossible because they're serving everybody else in the hospital.
Right.
You usually wait until the next meal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can kind of see how some of those people would get. I mean, I think hunger anger is the worst kind of anger.
I agree with you. I'm not talking about people who are, and I'm mainly talking about the emergency department. You don't know how many people have showed up into my triage booth. The triage is the first thing that they do, like when they see somebody and start telling them about their major problems, like other than the person that they're registering with. What are you here for? Oh, my stomach hurts. Okay, sign in. Like, I'm gonna, somebody will see you momentarily. I'm that person who sees them momentarily, and I'll be like, okay, what brings you in today? Oh my God, I've had the worst stomach pain of my life. I haven't eaten in 3 days because I can't keep anything down and it hurts so bad. Okay. What's your scale of pain on a scale of 0 to 10? Oh, it's a 10. It's an 11. It's an 11. Okay. Do you have any? Can I get something to eat? I'm not kidding. This is a normal thing, and I will look at them and be like, "But you said you're having the stomach pain. And you can't keep anything down." Yeah, I told you I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'm hungry.
That's fucking crazy.
It's you look at triage notes, like, granted you can't, and triage nurses, we're clever in the way that we relay information appropriately to the next caregiver, and you will say in the little comment section of the triage note, patient complains of abdominal pain times 3 days, demand sandwich. Like, because that gives you a clue onto what's really going on.
What is really going on in that case? Like, if they
granted, if somebody doesn't eat for 3 days because they're vomiting, they might be hungry. I get it. But if you are still that ill that you come to the emergency department for help after 3 days, if you're asking for a sandwich in the triage booth, you're on your way to recovery. Wait at home and eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like,
so why are they there asking for a sandwich? Are they home?
I don't know why. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's people that are trying to get a doctor's excuse because they've called in to work for the last 3 days. Sometimes it's because they were so ill before that they didn't even think about eating, and now that they're actually getting better, they want to seek help, even though the fact that they're hungry and getting better is like that. Some people just don't trust their own instincts of what's getting better. A lot of people want confirmation that they're better. So I think part of that is like drilled into society. Like, a doctor knows better than you on, what's happening. So some of it's not their fault per se, but it is like,
right.
It can be really frustrating.
Yeah, that pain scale thing, I've always taken that like super seriously because I feel like you need to be kind of accurate so the doctor could like help you. And so like I'm like, if I'm like, I don't know, I don't think I've ever said 10. You
ever looked at Brian Reagan, the comedian? He does a great bit about the emergency department and the pain scale and how walking out because he got like the good stuff and he felt so good. He was like looking in all the rooms going, say 8. When they ask you, say 8. It's great. Like, but no, the pain scale, most people, people will tell you a 10. Like 80% of the people who come to the emergency department is a 10.
Wow.
They could be sitting there eating something. It's a 10. It's really funny when you can look at the person and see the pain on their face. And they're like, I don't know, like a 6. And you're like, okay, you're somebody like, you're just like Guude. You're trying to take this shit seriously. And
yeah, I don't think I've ever gone above a 6, honestly. I remember one
Well, now
time
it's
I had
not-
gout in both feet, and I was like, "This is literally the worst it's ever been." I remember telling the guy that. I was like, "I've never been in this much pain in my life. I'm probably like a 6 or 7 or some shit like that."
Yeah. Now they're not supposed to. I can't say they're not supposed to. Still the standard pain scale. You're also supposed to ask not only what is your pain, what is your acceptable level of pain, because that's supposed to kind of deter, though nobody really can understand. And that's part of the problem with this scaling systems is people, everybody interprets that different, yet pain is what the patient tells you it is the quote. Like, you're not supposed to, as a clinician, make any judgment on anything other than what the person tells you the pain is, unless you have to go to a non-numeric pain scale, because you are taught that pain is what the patient tells you it is. There was a really funny article done, and it was completely satire piece about pain scales and how the pain scales were too confusing. So they've gotten rid of the 0 to 10, and they make it so that the patient can state whatever number they want to state for the situation. So it was just talking about people saying like their pain was 1,000,004.
Don't they sometimes just do pictures too? I swear I've seen it where it's like, which
yeah,
of these
it's
pictures?
It's called the Faces scale, the Wong Baker Faces scale. That person got fucking rich off of copywriting a scale of little smiley and sad faces.
Oh, Wong Baker.
Oh, Wong Baker. But yeah, that's like you use for like people who are, sometimes you can use it for people who don't speak English that well. That it's not necessarily supposed to be used in that way, but it's more for you show them, they can point at what they feel like their.
Yeah, I think I've seen
like.
it because my daughter, maybe not necessarily me.
Yeah, kids, it gets used a lot. Though I feel like the kids have new scales in the last couple of years that they use, and I just don't remember what they are, because I don't deal with pediatrics at my hospital.
I found that. Well, maybe not. I found a ravine, but I don't know if it's the ravine. But anyways, well, we're out of time either way. So,
well, all right, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.